This is just going to be a strange video. It just is what it is, and I've got to be straight up with you.
This is actually a really interesting story, and I've wanted to hear about this. Alex Afrasiabi, this was one of the Blizzard people who was exposed. This guy was apparently a huge creep and just in general made everybody around him uncomfortable. He got fired from the company and had all of the references of him removed. Alcohol seemed to be a very strong agitator in his behavior, which is always bad. And I would recommend anybody to don't drink, or at least drink responsibly. That's about it. Allegations aren't proof. Do you think that, like, he didn't do it? I don't think so. I think he did it. Yeah, I think he did it. I think the reason why he did it was because a lot of other people came out. It's the same thing with Bill Cosby. Why do I think so? I think so because of some of the public interactions that he had with people that were unhappy with him drinking. And also it seemed like a reasonable thing to have happen. Drunk guy acts like a weird asshole around women. Like, is this really something that's hard to believe? I mean, come on. I mean, I've been at like a million bars and clubs and seen this happen firsthand. Absolutely.
Got to be straight up with you. This is a video covering the claim that Alex Afrasiabi, the ex-creative director of World of Warcraft, unilaterally decided upon the Burning of Teldrassil and a big old bit of Sylvanas' arc.
Yeah.
Pretty much regardless of what his team thought, in a way where I'm led to believe it was not at all a popular thing. And this happened before the various complaints leveled against him resulted in him being removed from the World of Warcraft development team. Of course, in 2020, he was implicated in the lawsuit and all of that.
Yeah.
Now, essentially, it is that he set a lot of this course into motion with Sylvanas and Teldrassil. What this is absolutely not. This is not an attempt to pin all of World of Warcraft's narrative problems on a convenient scapegoat. That would be a load of bullshit, right? Look, Zovaal, as done in Shadowlands, is the worst villain in the franchise's history. I think that's a
True. So true. Yep.
Really uncontroversial claim.
Makes a good scapegoat, though. No, yeah, and that you're right. Fact is that it's easy to blame the guy that's not here. That it's his fault that everything's bad. Yeah, definitely. I agree, and it doesn't let anybody off the hook. Who's Alex has been gone for a year. Like, what happened last month on the PTR with some stupid-ass voice line with the jailer, Alex ain't got nothing to do with that.
And while a bad setup and sticking to a story that somebody else just rammed through, to a creative director's misguided unilateral decision made under a state of, rampant, sort of a quite strong alcohol problem.
Yeah.
That the story was set into motion via that is absolutely not an excuse for the narrative issues of Shadowlands. This is not ass covering. I think, well, I'll tell you what this is. This is that I think we can all agree that World of Warcraft would be a very different thing if Battle for Azeroth happened without the Burning of Teldrassil. The narrative of the game, the setting of the game, would be different without the Burning. My understanding is that the Burning was very unpopular internally and was rammed through unilaterally by the creative director. So today we are going to cover the thoroughly strange situation here surrounding this franchise-changing event. Additionally, I'm no longer a tertiary person to this. Story's been confirmed to me, directly. Let's just say I woke up to a few emails. So this has been confirmed to me completely independent of anyone mentioned in this video.
I've had people tell me not about this, but about other things, specifically having to do with Overwatch and the narrative in Overwatch being actually driven by weird developers. So I've heard this before too. I think this is true. I believe it.
And I do believe it to be the case.
Do you believe them?
And,
yes.
The story's out there, right? So I think it's time to have a talk about it. At a basic level, WoW has just went off the bloody rails since Teldrassil, hasn't it? And I think it is valuable that people understand the very fraught development that has led to all of this. Because, it's been a bloody headache for a lot of us, hasn't it? So let's go. This info has been floating around on Twitter for a few days. It actually kicked off like a month and a bit ago, and it just sort of all snowballed. So it's time to dive in. Essentially, everyone, there are claims from multiple public figures regarding the direction of the character of Sylvanas, and Alex Afrasiabi, who is one of the lead World of Warcraft developers. He was, in fact, the creative director of World of Warcraft, and of course, you'll know his name because he was quite implicated in the Californian Department of Fair Employment and Housing's lawsuit against Blizzard Entertainment. That is the lawsuit that sparked their ongoing crisis. It's even the lawsuit that started the chain of events that severely depressed their stock price and reportedly eroded Bobby Kotick's weight with his own board to the point where Microsoft could acquire the company. And Sylvanas kind of does have a little role in this, as does the Burning of Teldrassil. Because...
Well, it does. It's like the Red Wedding, except for it's not written by somebody who understands stories as well as George R.R. Martin. You know what I mean? It's like somebody just comes in there and shits on the whole thing, and it's like, it's just like a thing in Game of Thrones. It's like, yeah, but it's bad writing because you don't know where you're going to take the story. You see what I'm saying? It's Red Wedding with no consequences. In a way, yes.
The world is absurd. I'm going to break down, then, a timeline of events of this story breaking to help you understand what's going on so that you can make up your own opinion.
Okay.
It began when Michelle Morrow, voice actor of Illyria in Hearthstone, BlizzCon host, and someone who's just in the general sort of WoW Azeroth orbit, tweeted this. Now, referring, of course, this was to the Shattered Legacy cinematic with the soul splits and stuff.
Yeah.
She said, regarding Sylvanas, her entire character was basically sacrificed for the worst storyline in Warcraft history. Sidebar. Michelle, I agree.
True.
I heard from a trusted source that the Burning of Teldrassil is Afrasiabi's fault. So that's that tweet. Now, next, a Twitter user posted about community thoughts towards Sylvanas' punishment or lack thereof in patch 9.2.
Okay.
To which Ian, who you may know as the red shirt guy...
Let me read what they said. Sylvanas' punishment may be a bit more merciful than many in the community had been hoping for. Rather than Sylvanas' punishment may be a bit less draconian than many in the community had feared it might be. Well, because Sylvanas isn't a real character. It's not a real person. Like, if you want to have I think that there's a lot of times like this, I see this happen a lot now, where like people equate disliking or hating a fictional character is like the same as like disliking or hating a real person. It's not a real person. Sylvanas isn't real. I don't know. I think it's weird.
To which Ian, who you may know as the red shirt guy,
yeah,
a hero in the lore space, someone we all look up to, he responded, doing a great job of summarizing World of Warcraft's history in punishing villains. The final tweet said this: there's also some disturbing sexism elements built into the whole situation in regards that Sylvanas was seemingly intentionally ruined by Afrasiabi out of some odd vendetta, as Michelle Morrow has accused him of doing.
Now, do you guys remember 3 years ago, before any of this stuff was public at all, whenever I said that every single female character in World of Warcraft was crazy? Do you remember that? You know what, bro? It's just like real life. Yeah, you got him, man. My man. And there's no rational female character? Yeah. I don't think that Sylvanas, Jaina, or Tyrande, which are 3 of the main female characters, they have all behaved irrationally and stupidly throughout the entire story. Yeah. I feel like this has been... Like, I identified this before any of this happened. I didn't view it as sexist. I just viewed it as bad. Like, I thought it was bad. I didn't think, like, oh, this is sexism. Oh, like, I'm not a big person for worrying about sexism. Sometimes I see it and I call it out, but I'm not a woman. I'm not really seeing this all the time. It's not a personal issue to me. I just thought it sucked.
Now, to be very clear
Does it
here,
feel good to be right so
Michelle
often?
did not say vendetta.
This time.
Michelle later clarified that word is over dramatizing the situation and that it does not represent the many opinions and feelings that she has about Alex. I think that's just a genuine misunderstanding. Obviously, given the nature of Afrasiabi's dismissal from Blizzard Entertainment, it is it's quite understandable that Ian would have read into it that way, even though that is not the literal words that Morrow used. Okay. Next then, Taliesin and Evitel responded to Ian, saying, Morrow isn't the only one to say this. I have multiple unconnected sources at Blizz that have independently confirmed it.
Yeah, I would trust Michelle. Like, I would. Like, I've talked to her a number of times before, and, she's hosted BlizzCon multiple years. She's been involved with Blizzard multiple years, and, I would trust her, for sure. Trust in Taliesin? I don't think that... I wouldn't. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think that he's lying. I actually don't think so. Listen, Taliesin and I have had drama. I would have every reason in the world to shed doubt on his accusation. We've had drama multiple times. I don't think he's lying here. I think he's being honest.
So there's that. Now, after this happened, me and Matt talked about the situation as we understood it on our live stream last Friday. Then at 3 a.m. on Sunday, while I was watching Deep Space Nine in the bathtub, I fired off a tweet about basically just how I thought the whole situation was a bit wild. You know those times you feel like you're in The Truman Show, or it's The Matrix, or it's all just a bit weird? That was my vibe, so I sent out that tweet. Now, of course, you will remember that I hated how the War of Thorns unfolded. My initial reaction to that Sylvanas cinematic with the burning was,
cock ass.
Fucking lol, what a boring fisting of a narrative.
Cock ass, that's what it was.
I stand by that tweet, all these years later. I think it turned out pretty bad too. So I tweeted about how wild this whole Sylvanas situation seemed, and how, in the upcoming Sylvanas novel, it seems to me that Christie Golden basically has to be dodging plot bullets and motivation problems like Neo dodging bullets in The Matrix. I mean, this is a book that...
What they need to do. Here's what they need to do. Here's what Steve and Christie need to do. Write some new fucking characters. These characters have 20 years of fucking baggage. You gotta write a new character. And then before, oh, they can't make new characters. Yes, they can. Mela Highmountain was one of the best female characters we've had. Queen Ashara was cool. That's Queen Ashara is an old character, but personifying her in World of Warcraft was the first time in fucking, like, what was it called? In BFA. Queen Ashara, Queen Talanji. I thought Queen Talanji was trash. Flynn was fucking cool. You know who else is really cool? Bob Salami. Bob motherfucking Salami. Like, let's see some more about him. Zappy Boy is cool. So I'm not going to get into this whole thing that, oh man, like only old characters are good and the new writers can't come up with anything good, because they have. They have multiple times. Everybody liked Crexus, Margrave Crexus, they thought he was cool. And you know who else is a great character? Denathrius. Denathrius is the perfect villain. He's the perfect fucking villain. He's so good. He's so fucking good. He's God tier. Yes. Winter Queen is pretty cool. Denathrius is so much cooler, okay? Like, shut the fuck up. Winter Queen? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. Denathrius is way better than her. Okay, let's be honest. Denathrius is a million times better. So yeah, I mean, I wish he was the main villain and not the jailer, to be honest with you. So look, all I'm really saying is that they can write new good characters. They've already done it. But they need to stop trying to go back and retroactively rationalize old characters' actions. They need to just move the characters out of the story. Not like a big way, but in the same way that, let's see, let me think of characters that have been just kind of moved out of the story. Devos. Yeah, Devos was a great character that Blizzard just threw in the fucking garbage. Thrall. Yeah, Thrall's not really in the story anymore. Valen's not in the story anymore. Yrel not in the story anymore. Khadgar has been in the story for like 3 expansions, man. Like or 2 expansions, 2 or 3. So like I don't know if really saying he's not in the story anymore. Terralion. Well, Terralion's, yeah. I mean, Terralion's like, what the fuck is he doing? You see what I'm saying? Like Rexar. Yeah, many of these characters that have been around forever. It's not like you can't do this. Just make new good characters. Oh, another new good character, especially like I liked 8.3 Rathian. I thought he was cool. Yeah, I thought he was cool in the cinematics. Absolutely.
Should not be needed whatsoever. It's a book that basically seems to be explaining a character whose handling has been utterly baffling and bizarre. Some of the worst storytelling I've seen, frankly. Yeah. I mean, why does that book exist? Surely it's because we finally want to know just what the fuck's going on with Sylvanas. The following day, then, the
book, it's actually a bunch of blank pages except for the first page, and all it says is sorry. That's it. That's the whole book about Sylvanas. We're sorry.
To extreme practice, my phone starts beeping, which was very distracting. Maybe got me killed. But Taliesin and Avatel replied, actually, and a number of other people joined, including Scott Johnson, who you might not know if you're only on YouTube, but he had been quite close to a lot of Blizzard people, including Chris Metzen. He ran the instance since, was it 2005, 2006?
Oh, yeah,
long
are
time.
Real close
He's
with
one of
Blizzard.
the first podcasters.
I could see them knowing what's going on.
First podcasters. And that's the longest running WoW podcast. So that's Scott. He definitely would know people. And then Towley, who's, of course, one of the earliest Twitch streamers.
Towley, if Towley says something, I take it seriously. There have been people that have told me things that I should not know. Oh, Cap Towley. Do you remember whenever Towley said that 9.15 was going to be a wish list for giving the players all the things they wanted for Shadowlands, and then it was right. He was right. You remember that? Go look at Towley's pictures where he's like having like lunch and stuff like that with people that work at Blizzard. I mean, come on.
And, I think a lot of people thought of Towley as, a big copium huffer back in the sort of, I don't know, some of the BFA days. But, I mean, he's been very real when it came to
yes, he did.
Shadowlands being, I mean, basically a bit shit.
So
let's break this down.
Yeah.
When my phone beeped, it was because Taliesin and Avatel said, and I quote, "The way I heard it," and that's all it is Afrasiabi was set on Sylvanas' turn in BFA and was moved off the team for now obvious reasons after it was announced, but before it was properly worked out. Dude, trust me, that he never saw through. They continue.
And it could have been okay. Like, I don't feel like Sylvanas burning down the tree, because you have no idea what his plan was. So I'm not going to just say it was a bad plan 100%. Yeah, it was probably a bad plan, but I just don't know for sure.
Saying, like I say, I've heard it from so many people at so many different times now.
So this 10.0 is going to be Steve's baby. It's going to suck. Well, yeah. And whenever it does, we're going to be like, Steve, you fucked up again. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be like, Steve, look at that. Look at you, Steve. You're fucking up again, huh? You fucking up? Yeah, then I'm fine. But the thing is that I am willing to... I mean, it's not even willing. it's going to happen. I can't stop this from happening. I can't say, wait a minute, stop the press. We're going to bring George R.R. Martin in here, and we're going to have him write the story instead. I can't do that. I've got to just kind of see what happens.
Otherwise, it's not the kind of thing I'd repeat. It makes sense to me, though. And that's how it is. Generally, I do get the odd spicy leak every now and then, but, you have to have that degree of integrity to, if it's only just one thing, right? You can't really go live with that, can you? Now, later, T&E explained that, Steve, quote, "There's no doubt he was going off the rails towards the end. His problems with drink are well documented, brackets, not his fault, but very destructive nonetheless, end brackets. And he was eventually let go quiet."
I disagree with that. I think that if you drink, it's your fault. As a grown-ass man, I ain't gonna hear it, Somebody does. She's saying alcoholism isn't his fault. Oh, really? So somebody just held him against his will and made him drink before he became an alcoholic? They made him do it. No, dude, just no. It's more complicated than that. It's so complicated. No, it's not his fault. Shut the fuck up and have some personal responsibility. I've seen so many people ruin their lives because they indulge themselves in these vices that kill millions of people. I am not going to even for a second take even a slight amount of bad takes from you guys. This is his own responsibility. It's his own fucking life, and he is affecting other people. I don't give a fuck about how hard it is for him. Whenever you take your problems and then you put them on somebody else, I don't give a fuck about what your problems are. I give a fuck about the fact that you're putting them on another person. And this selfish idea that it's not his fault to infantilize a 45-year-old man as if he can't control his own actions, as if he's not seeking help, he's just doing the same shit over and over and over while he has all of his friends enable him. Do you think he's stupid? I don't think he was stupid. I think he knew exactly what he's doing, and he was doing it just fine because he knew he could get away with it. I have no sympathy for people who do that. None whatsoever. I only have sympathy for the people's lives that are ruined in the crossfire as collateral damage. Those are the people I have sympathy for.
After years of allegations. So that's the T&E evidence. Towley then replied to this saying, quote, "This is correct. 10.0 will be Steve's baby.
Yeah.
It is not easy working around a narrative you inherited and had to make work because so much was already put into Notion." Then Scott Johnson replied saying, "Can confirm." Now, just for there, Scott has been quite close to Blizzard people. He's interviewed Chris Mattson multiple times, and not just oh, hey, Blizzard person, let's do a podcast about your new thing. No, it was far more of a real talk going into
That's good.
Chris's.
I haven't seen this
really
before.
A lot of personal struggles, personal shit, right? The sort of thing that I think as a podcast can only happen when people are, some degree of friends or, have that connection. Mm-hmm. And I'd also just say, certainly from the many, many years of, listening to Scott shows, it's a pretty major part of actually what I was doing when I was growing up. He's an honorable guy. I don't think he's going to lie on something like this.
No, I don't think he is. And I think, again, there are a lot of people out there who want to have perfect evidence for everything. They want to have everything written out, and they want to have oh my God, here's the tape of Alex he's at his desk, he's got a a bottle of Jägermeister, Jack Daniels, and 5 Bud Light cans behind him, and he's drawing a picture of Sylvanas burning down a tree. I fucking knew it. I knew it. There it is. We have definitive proof that Alex did this. We know it for sure. But the fact is that usually you have to trust people. And to a certain degree, you make your decision. Do you trust this guy or not? I generally trust these people. Here's the best way for me to determine whether I trust somebody or not. And one of the strongest filters that I put my trust in somebody through. Does me trusting them benefit them? Do they stand to gain for being trusted? In all of these cases, nobody stands to gain from Alex getting shit on. Nobody does. Taliesin and Evitel don't. Bellular doesn't. This guy doesn't. None of these people stand to gain, so I have more reason to trust them.
A little bit more color in Scott, because I know this is YouTube. Not a lot of you will know about the podcasting space for Warcraft, but you will know the YouTubers and streamers like T&E and Towley.
Yeah.
Now, I responded to Scott saying, "This explains so much. Players have to take the plot at face value, but knowing this does change how I process it all." To which he...
They gain YouTube views and money? I mean, not necessarily. Michelle Morrow, she doesn't make YouTube videos. You directly risk your reputation with something like that. Yeah, exactly. Like that. This is the question. Yeah, she's not making YouTube videos. 100%. Michelle has nothing to gain from this. Yeah, nothing to gain from this. Yeah, she actually, like, yeah, it's probably more of a loss but by speaking out about it. You're right. Some do have a vested interest in keeping WoW in a good light. I would say maybe. I mean, now we're getting into abstracts. And this is kind of what I'm saying is, like, I'm not, like, she's not the one making the video. I'm making the video. I'm getting the money for the video, right? Bellular is getting the money for the video. She's not getting anything. I think that people don't want to believe it, so they're working backwards to find a reason not to believe it. They're not approaching this from a neutral perspective. They're approaching this from a perspective of, I want to prove this wrong. And that's why we're using, my opinion, broken logic. It doesn't make sense.
Replied, quote, "In some parallel universe, Chris is still there calling the story shots, and we are all thrilled with where
If
Sylv
only we
ended
could be
up."
there. Yeah.
Now, look, maybe
If
Scott
only we
knows
could be
what
there.
Chris actually had in mind for that character. Maybe it's just a bit of hope from him, but I think it is a sentiment that, yeah, we can probably all get behind. Since then, I poked around, and look, here's the deal. As I said, set at the top, right? The core claim that Alex Afrasiabi pushed the Burning of Teldrassil through, and Sylvanas' role in that. From what I have seen, I do believe that to be true.
Yeah, for sure.
I do not think that there is lying going on. Now, obviously, whenever a source talks to somebody, because you could say that, I mean, me and everyone I've named in this video, we all are in some way members of the press, pundits, whatever word you want to use. So, obviously, whenever people leak information, they do so with a perspective. Right? It's only right and honest that I say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that to be the case. All right? I do believe that. I think that the Burning of Teldrassil is one of the most pivotal moments in WoW's history. I think whether you like it or not, like, we can all agree that it was pretty important.
In my opinion, I felt like Sylvanas killing Saurfang was actually a stronger condemnation of her character than the Burning of Teldrassil. Because in Teldrassil, there were weapons of war. There were war machines in there, right? This is a stronghold of the enemy. But with Saurfang, it was done out of malice. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, she killed Saurfang out of malice and evil and a personal reason versus blowing up Teldrassil, burning down Teldrassil. This was a military action. There were also civilians. Well, when has that ever stopped anybody in WoW from blowing shit up? Well, they kill civilians all the time.
It's the sort of event that cannot be undone. Around that time, then, people started to struggle with Sylvanas' motivation, her character. So, some timeline time then. After the cancellation of Project Titan, Alex returned to World of Warcraft as creative director for both Warlords of Draenor, Legion, and Battle for Azeroth. He's actually credited for Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah.
Now, the last place we see Alex Afrasiabi within the context of being a WoW dev
Legion was good.
Is BlizzCon. And it's the BlizzCon after BFA comes out. So I believe that's BlizzCon 2018.
Yeah, I don't
during
remember,
the
actually.
Q&A,
It's hard for
he
me really
infamously said regarding the big cannon in Ashara, we're going to fire that cannon. Obviously, that didn't happen.
No.
Maybe indicates, again, that the story of BFA probably changed after he was no longer in the picture. And then he said, if I were Sylvanas looking at what Garrosh had wrought, I'd probably think Garrosh was an amateur. And I think this twigs us on to the Shadowlands storyline. I think it was based on the pre-BFA book, where it very much seemed like Sylvanas had her sights set on sacking Stormwind or something.
Yeah.
So, maybe Afrasiabi had some utter Game of Thrones, big, bonkers bullshit planned. From what I understand, by the way, that is something that basically the rest of the team hated. So, I mean, look, Shadowlands was shit by that team.
Yeah, it's hard to really know.
Is completely shit from a narrative perspective. I suppose it's heartening to know that the Game of Thrones stuff, feeling stuff, being a load of shit, that maybe they also think that. And also, when I think about Towley's tweet about 10.0 being Steve's baby, that comes into my head and it kind of says, right, is this the first expansion where Afrasiabi's influence in the game is completely, not factoring in? Basically, this was...
It's hard because, the game itself, there's, threads of the game that go back to Warcraft 3 that you can't really get free of. But yeah, I think in general, we'll have to see what happens with 10.0. That's the main thing to me. And like the narrative, I want to say this, like the narrative being good doesn't mean the game will be good. And the game being bad doesn't mean the narrative is bad. But, you know, these two things are independent of each other. I mean, hopefully it'll be good. Yeah, I hope the game will be good. But we'll see what happens.
Drama where Alex Afrasiabi, responding to people on the internet not liking Sylvanas, so hey, maybe that was partially me, whoops, he said, I've heard these discussions on the internet about how she's going off the rails, but is she? I've been writing Sylvanas personally since 2006, and this is pretty much the Wrathgate and the Blight and the Forsaken in character. Those were under Sylvanas' orders. What we're seeing now is an escalation of the plan Sylvanas has, clearly, and we are in the middle of that.
There it is.
Now, obviously, this was a very controversial thing at the time. You probably remember the videos, the drama, people were talking. We knew that Sylvanas created the Blight, like that was under her orders, but the assumption at the time was that Putris was attempting the coup, right?
That's what
was involved, all that jazz. Now, Alex made it seem like Sylvanas knew about the coup, kind of ordered the Wrathgate to happen, and then used the fallout of the Wrathgate to basically clean house and solidify her own leadership. Now, the funny thing is that Polygon actually asked
like
Steve
Danuser
about this and sort of Afrasiabi's response.
Yeah, it sounds like
and
bullshit.
Steve's answer was like less specific and more playful. A funny aside, actually, a while back I talked to an individual who worked at Blizzard during this period of time. I'll say nothing more. But that person told me that basically regarding anything that a World of Warcraft developer says, that I should note that staff may be defending or explaining things that they do not personally agree with or have a hand in. And this is a thing where I can 100% verify that person, you know.
No, that happens with everything. I mean, of course, if you're in a leadership role, sometimes you have to explain why something happens that you might disagree with or rationalize it to people, given the reasons provided. This is every company, every organization.
Now, I really don't think that was said to me about this particular instance, but maybe it's something to keep in mind. Anyway, shortly after early BFA, Alex gets removed as creative director on World of Warcraft. He did something for 2 years, who the hell knows, and he was dismissed in 2020.
There it is.
That's basically the story. Like, for what it's worth, I'm told that, yes, Teldrassil was very controversial internally.
Yeah, because it sucked.
And that Alex basically kind of rammed it through. And there's some people said to me, like, oh, this is just pinning it in one guy. Well, he was the creative director. I mean, that's just like, you know, looking at a movie and a controversial plot decision being like,
I can't believe
the director rammed it through. Oh, you're pinning it in one guy.
Yeah, it's
well,
director.
Yeah, it's the director.
Exactly.
I mean, sure, I guess Ian could have vetoed this as game director, but I imagine for now...
I feel like, obviously, it's like it's true and it's not true in a lot of ways, where I think that most mistakes, like this is what I said about Steve Danuser, is that, like, I'm not going to sit here and blame every bad thing on him exclusively. I think that it is a collective mistake. It's not one person doing everything wrong, and if you get rid of them, everything's going to be fine. I don't think so. But there is a point where, if you are in the leadership position, you are responsible. He's still the lead. There it is.
Stuff, it's like, that's Alex's gig, so he gets the say on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he probably had final authority in all of this and was able to ram it through.
Probably,
now, if he was moved off WoW, like, just before 8.1 was released, around that time, then, yeah, so much would have been into motion, because at that point in time, would Alex have been working in patch 8.2? No, that would have been concepted ages ago. Because by that stage, Shadowlands really has to be in development. Because game development takes like 2 years to build a WoW expansion, maybe even a little bit more, right? So they always have to have an advanced team, which is usually going to be the most senior staff working ahead on whatever the new shit is.
Yeah, for the vision.
So Shadowlands basically would have been to some degree concepted, and, you know, probably pre-production was like well underway by that stage. In fact, somebody responded to Towley saying, well, that doesn't excuse Zoval. And then Towley responded by saying that that person didn't know how WoW expansion development works. I mean, obviously, by the time BFA was shipping, the most senior people like Alex would have been working on the following expansion. Because see, before any of that game system shit happens...
didn't they say that they gave Bob Swamby a bigger role in the story? Same with Zappy Boy, because of how much players liked him. And didn't they also say that Bolvar was added in again because players liked them a lot, and the original Lich King cinematic wasn't planned from the beginning? They said this 3 times, so I still don't think that Towley's response accurately takes the responsibility away from the leadership team, because they've shown in those 3 different places that they are able to dynamically change the direction of the story based off of what the player base likes. It's happened 3 times. So, I mean, there it is.
Like, you have a lot of art assets to make. You have a lot of story stuff to do. It's
pretty minor.
You have a lot
Maybe
of concepting
it was so
to
big
do.
they couldn't change
all that shit, right? Now, that said, look, I've also heard, time and time again, actually, that Shadowlands had major changes while it was in development. Like, big changes. So, perhaps we've also suffered from that as well, which probably explains why Zoval, which is probably some other guy's idea, ended up being such an utterly shit character.
Yeah.
So I think that this change then, I mean, whatever this change is, like if I've heard that Shadowlands changed pretty significantly in development, then it's pretty obvious that would have happened before Shadowlands was announced in 2019. Because I think a lot of the core plot stuff and like Zoval and all that was solidified then.
I think also, like, one problem is that, like, I still think they should have been able to write the story better than what they did and salvage it more than what they did. I think that Blizzard, like, people like to have charismatic villains. I think that's a very big thing, whether it's Denathrius, Thanos, Darth Vader, in a way. In WoW, like Ashara, charismatic villain. Garrosh. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of them. The Joker, in a way, right? In a weird way. Griffith, yeah, it's another great villain. Dio, again. Bane. Labrea, I don't know about that. I mean, kind of like mind control people. But, like, it's hard to say. So, like, that's what I'm saying is that people want to have a charismatic villain that you almost want to root for. I think that the best example of that is Thanos, 100%. And I think Garrosh is another really great example of that too.
Of Alex, then obviously Steve Danuser would rise to principal narrative designer on World of Warcraft. And obviously, with all that we know now about the state of Blizz, there's a lot more swirling around all of these people as all this shit's going down. Now, at that point, the general thrust of Shadowlands would have been there. Patch 8.2 would have been well in development, and 8.3 certainly would have been in some degree of pre-production, surely. So, let's talk about what this may have meant then. Right, BFA probably just ended up being a total narrative mess because of all this. Shadowlands also, but with Shadowlands...
I actually feel like the BFA narrative was not a complete cock. I don't think so. I don't think that it was a complete cock. Yeah, it's just that, I was not that bad. I thought that the Battle of Dazar lore was stupid. That's the main thing. I did not like it. It was pretty fucking awful, no? I don't think it was great, but, like, I would say it was so mid. It was a mid storyline. It's just like, okay, like, whatever, who cares? It's almost like Cataclysm. The Cataclysm storylines suck too.
Ought to be real, the onus is significantly more on, well, the present team. They inherited a rough story. Yep. That's very unfortunate. And I think the redemption of Sylvanas, I think that's probably their idea, because they probably want to try to save a useful character from that other guy's big blunder. And maybe the next expansion is going to undo Teldrassil and Undercity somehow, I guess. But most of Shadowlands' blunders, like, they're not Alex's fault. They were executed pretty poorly. And now that said, obviously, inheriting a totally messed up story is probably not going to lead to somebody doing their best work. And if the direction changed a lot during development, then maybe this is one of those big hellscape game development projects that, sometimes you hear about in a big report from Jason Schreier or something. So it's hard to know where all this went. Look, you could say that Alex thought up a big Thanos-like cosmic mastermind during the production of BFA, and that maybe therefore he made Teldrassil happen because of that.
That's what it seemed like to me. You could maybe
say that he went super hard on a faction war, wherein it was supposed to be an old god expansion, and he thought he could pull it all off, but turned out they couldn't. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, literally, who the hell knows? You could say that the team wanted to do a straight-up faction war. Maybe Alex rammed in a Shara and Azeroth and all the death stuff to lead into Shadowlands. Who the hell knows? It's probably a mix of all this bullshit, being real with you. I cannot tell you what happened. I literally do not know.
I think that's actually a really good thing, what he's saying now. Is like, it was no one thing. It was not like, oh, well, this is what caused the problem. It's because of Alex. It's because of Steve. It's because of the budget cuts. It's because of the lawsuit. It's like just everything coming together, making itself worse.
Obviously, given the tone of my content, caused in large part by this whole plot line, I'm probably the last person anyone in the narrative team would really want to leak to, eh?
Yeah.
Look, what I do know is that this has undoubtedly been the worst period in WoW storytelling. It is, I think it's an existential crisis for the existence of this
massive
franchise.
cock.
And I think the Sylvanas
one
novel,
of the biggest
why
ones
the hell
we've
does
had.
it exist if not to do damage repair? Right, to finally give us a first-person account of what the fuck happened throughout this annoying bullshit plot that has sucked. Because, let's be real, books do make money, but they make a bloody insignificant amount of money compared to, I don't know, say, selling 3D models for $25, selling a level boost, selling a WoW token. Come on.
Yeah.
Patch 9.2 involves the big boy ending the cosmos, trying to anyway, amongst other frustratingly flat, alienating bullshit. But it does have really pretty art. Definitely that. Now, Towley, who, I got the impression is pretty close to Blizz people, he did say 10.0 is Danuser's baby. In that case, batter up, right?
Yep.
This is Blizzard's last chance to save their setting.
No, it's not. There's always going to be next time. They're always going to have another chance because people are just going to buy the next expansion because the odds are you'll probably get your $40 worth for it and then you just quit. That's what people do. Like, I would say that most people probably for hours spent probably get their money back for the expansion.
I kind of do worry because, look, Alex hasn't worked in WoW since late 2018, and I'm sure he set a lot of very damaging things into motion that were just too deep in production, so, you couldn't turn the boat around. The best you could do is slightly steer it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Look, Sylvanas stuff has sucked, but Shadowlands in many ways failed upon its own merits. Look, if I was to just go, snort a line of pure, refined copium, I could say that the Shadowlands stuff sucked because of this Sylvanas stuff, and because, let's see, A, it was forced to dedicate time to a letdown of an Elune B plot in order to set up a future expansion, that B, it lost a major content patch worth of character storytelling because usually, the expansion isn't this short. C, that it was probably hampered by a very high attrition rate on the World of Warcraft development team, and that D, it was almost certainly impacted by a large direction change in development that maybe coincided with its creative director leaving the company?
Yeah.
Or, well, not leaving the company, but leaving the team. Now, by the way, like, big mid-development pivots, that's actually shockingly and depressingly common in AAA dev, and it's something that often happens because, well, a whole variety of reasons, but what it generally leads to is games that launch like Anthem or Mass Effect Andromeda, those ones that are just, messy. Battlefield 2042 as well, from what I'm told. Perhaps it's all that, and then COVID happens on top of that, and that just means that Shadowlands just does not come together. Perhaps. Time will tell. I know one thing. I don't think WoW can really take another expansion of this current narrative quality, and broad online sentiment suggests that most probably agree.
No, I think that it can. I think it'll be like New World, where the game, like at the beginning of New World, in order to fully understand and appreciate New World, you had to include the dupes as part of the entertainment that the game provided. Like, you had to look at the community drama as part of the entertainment value of the game. Because if you did that, it was a fucking funny game. It was a great game. Like, there's stupid shit that happens every day. It was great. Like, you log on and there's like sausages being spammed in chat. Trades are disabled. Somebody went on. Oh, you looked on. Look. Oh, all your gear's missing. Gold's gone. Your house is now. There's 3 people that you don't know in your house, and then you go out to farm materials, and you can't farm any of the mines because they're scuffed. Like they're bugged out or something. Yeah, so like you had to include the bugs and the dupes as part of the content. So if WoW continues going down this bad narrative path, people will still play it, but they will play it. It's like, you know, the fat guy on YouTube that can't stop eating food and crying about it? People aren't watching him because they like him. People are watching him because they're waiting to see what's going to happen next. This is the... Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's not because they want to watch the dumpster fire. And I think that actually people will tune in for 9.2 because they want to see what the fuck is going to happen. That's the truth. They want to know what's going to happen. And it's a morbid curiosity for many people. They are expecting it to be a cock.
With me. Now, that said, if Alex ramming through this shitty direction and, you know, late 2018, obviously impacting the development of Shadowlands and moving its direction, you know, if all that happened and we have all of these compounding factors that make it a total shit show, look, maybe it could be the case that 10.0, maybe it's not going to be a masterpiece. But honestly, I think we'd all settle for a 7.5 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, have an uncontroversial but, you know, not risky story, one that's just going to be, oh, okay, good, we're back home. Do that.
It's like Legion. Legion was not amazing. There were some really good points, right? With like Illidan and Valen and Kil'jaeden, like that was really cool. But it was just like a solid 8 out of 10 story. It was not crazy good. It was just, all right, that's cool. And then Illidan fucking shoots the beam at the Naru. He blows it up. Oh shit, dude. God, he's so cool, man. Fuck yeah. There's like Sargeras fucking stabs the earth. Whoa. All right, cool. You know, like that's about it, you know? I mean, yeah, it wasn't like anything, you know, groundbreaking, I feel. It was just good.
Up the systems. I think they'll win a bunch of people back. I don't know what to make of this. This is what's coming out online. Now I'm telling you about it. So to be honest, I just want to know, what do you think about all of this? So let me know down below. And we'll be back to our regularly scheduled content tomorrow or maybe the day after.
Yeah.
Okay. Ugh, this stuff's also tiresome. Right. In spite of a weird video like this, I hope you have an excellent day and things go well for you.
It is such a weird video. It's such a weird thing, dude. Yeah. Definitely a sword broke on the ground. Oh, about the sword. Like, I would not put it past Blizzard to just, like, you fly over to Silithus and the sword's gone. And they just never comment on it. They never say anything about it. The sword's gone. You fly over there and there's, like, you know, some, like, Azerite shit. The hole's covered up. People ask about it, and the forums, the threads get deleted, and after a couple of months, everybody just, they get the picture. They see what's going on. Okay. Yeah, what's sword, man? What do you mean sword? Sargeras? Yeah, I mean, the thing is with, I mean, you have to understand, Jailer's plan was very, it's been going on for a very long time. And so it's just very good that, the Heroes of Azeroth were able to put an end to it. Yeah, but we're asking about the sword that Sargeras, yeah, so the Jailer, he's been pulling these threads ever since Warcraft 3. and the end of Shadowlands, it finally ended those stories, and now we're free to move on to new things. And you fly over there, no sword. Sword's gone. That's it. Problem solved. Yep. I would actually even think that was funny if they did that. I really would. Yeah. I wouldn't even be mad. Yeah, it's like, okay. Fuck it. Yeah, it was like, how much worse could it get? The gaslight and say a sword. Yeah. Take the cinematic out of the game. Tell players the sword was never there. What sword thing, homie? What do you mean? What do you mean Sargeras had his sword? No, he didn't. How would he stab it into the planet? Yeah, what sword thing? Oh, we've got another sword truther. Oh, come on. We gotta ban him again? Oh my god. It's so funny thinking about it, man. It really is.